August 2017, and it begins in 3, 2, 1. Are part of a balanced breakfast and proud members of the Geek.io podcast network. This is the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. It's a pleasure as always. We're starting your day the Generic Live Show way. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure as always. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We had a cracking pre-show which you can get if you listen live on our Twitch stream and other places probably coming soon. But for now, it's on the Twitch stream at twitch.tv/generic live show and at twitch.tv/generic live try that. Take two. Twitch.tv/generic live show, twitch.tv/geek.io show. There you go. Man, oh man, I shouldn't drink before the show, but hey, here we are. We're doing another show. Be here or be squeerini. That's how you do. By the way, full disclaimer: make sure that you are enrolled to vote. You need to be enrolled to vote if you want to participate in the same-sex marriage survey that is being mailed out on the 24th of August as well. So make sure you are in that to win that. Hopefully you get to win that. But we can bring you results and updates as they develop right here on the Generic Live Show. Now, urgent, beep 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 beep. Not, it is breaking news because it happened the other day. Plus, this is a very, very popular food item. So this is very important that you listen up. Breaking news. There has been an urgent recall, national product recall / withdrawal of popular children's yogurt pouches over fears kids could choke on lids. Here is the 411 on that article. Range of children's yogurts have been recalled after packaging deemed unsafe. Calcium, Woolies and Aldi Brooklia pouches lids dislodge once open. Ooh. Parents urged to return the yogurts to place of purchase for a full refund. Parents are being urged not to give their children a range of yogurts after it is deemed their packaging was a choking hazard. Paramount Australia has recalled Calcium, Woolies and Aldi Brooklia yogurt pouches sold at various retailers with the lid prone to dislodging once opened. Quote, the centre top cap may be dislodged upon reapplication of the cap after an initial use, the New South Wales Food Authority says. The Calcium stressed that the recall of 70-gram pouches was packaging related, not to do with the ingredients. So this is, again, nothing to do with the actual yogurts themselves, but more so to do with the lids and the packaging. They've stressed that one. This recall is related to the packaging only, not the yogurt itself. Some caps, when used to reseal pouch after opening, are failing as well. A statement from Calcium said, we are working on replacing the faulty caps with an alternative design. So these lids could be out. They could be out for a while. Actually, they could be out for some time. These lids. It appears. These lids might might be dangerous if they're sparking a full redesign. That's pretty major, and the kids' yogurts too. So you think yogurt that comes in a pouch, easy to consume design, and you squeeze it and yogurt comes out the little top part. What design element could you do to fix that? We'll get into that a little bit later on, but let's continue seeing what we've got coming up here. Customers are being advised to return the product to the store of purchase, where they will receive a full refund. The warning comes just after 2 days after similar packaging was deemed hazardous, as Tamar Valley yogurt pouches were subject to recall. Jeepers, that is rough. That is definitely a rough deal. So again, Tamar Valley kids yogurts, the kids range, the kid pouches, the all natural Greek yogurt, all varieties. Calcium 70 gram packages. The Woolworths and Aldi Brocklear yogurt also being urged to recall as well. That's a lot. Because you think, I mean, product recalls. We don't really do product recalls on this show. This is not generic live product recall show. Generic live product recall. But the show's got a recall on it. I wish. But again, recalls are interesting. I think I did a recall. I think it was either last year or the year before. And they're interesting to discover if it is big enough, if that makes sense. Like the one last year was about all packaged lettuce was causing salmonella. Salmonella, I believe, was the deal with those pre-packaged yogurts as well. Now, I believe that the next thing on but my question is, how long are these packaging? How long are these yogurts going to be out of stock for? How long are they going to be on recall is another thing too, because not only externally is a product recall nightmarish to manage, but it's nightmare internally, but it's definitely a nightmare externally to manage as well, because you think they have to basically, they're not making any money. They're taking money at a loss here because they've got a whole bunch of inventory sitting around. They can't make money off of the distribution channels that they have, and they have a lot of distribution channels, particularly. And how is this going to affect the distribution channel with Woolworths is another factor to consider as well, because that's the Woolworths and Aldi exclusive yogurts that Parmelt make, otherwise known as Paul's. What do they make? And I understand that kids yogurts is a very small margin of their catalog and their diverse milk products. But it takes a slice out. It definitely takes a slice out, and it's not like there's other ranges in that market to try and make do as well, if you know what I mean. Like it's not like they can have other kids yogurts that they can promote in the meantime, particularly when it comes to milk proper, And they've got, oh, we can't, we're out of this one brand of plain milk. Don't worry, we make other brands of plain milk that you can buy in the meantime. So they're still getting a slice of that money, of that milk pie, if you will, for lack of a better term, milk pie. Do you make pie with milk? Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But what I'm trying to say is that if you make some money, if you've got a variety of catalogue of products in that same strand, as if you've got all of the stuff on, all of the products on recall, you can't really make that money back, which is a shame. But they're a big enough company that they can deal with, and not only are they losing out, but the people at the other end of the distribution channel are also also missing out as well, because they're giving back money that people have spent. Yeah, albeit they're permanently very cheap kids yogurts as well. It's interesting to have to give money back for that, which a full refund is what you would expect. A replacement, though, I don't think you really want a replacement after that. Now back to the main point of what do you do with the packaging itself. Now enough of the recall business, but how do you come back from this? How do you change the packaging on this yogurt to make it redeemable in people's eyes? A, to buy it again, because by the time you get this back in stock, people are going to be back onto the next thing quicker than you can say lickety split. And once the kids are adapted to that yogurt, it's going to be hard to get customers back again. But that's a whole other story. But the packaging is important here, because you can't have this detachable lid system anymore, because it doesn't work. People are claiming it's a choke hazard now, but because, well, according to my news sources this afternoon, there were no injuries or deaths from this. Thank Christ. But if there was, that would be a serious ado. But I would have heard about that one. But the packaging itself, how does one survive this and make a different packaging? Like, what? I'm not a designer of packaging, but you'd have to move to a design that would make sense logically. But what would that be? Again, a detachable lid solution doesn't work. Would it be installing kind of little sort of kind of, I don't know, seals within the yogurt? So if you squeeze it, it'll pop the seal. But then that's a logistical nightmare, because then you just have yogurt coming out everywhere, and no one wants yogurt coming out everywhere, let me tell you. But again, you kind of have to you have to deal with that, as that kind of brings it upon itself. And you have to do that quite quickly, because you need to have the stock come back into the stores to get that ball rolling again. So, but that's not a logistical thing for me to deal with. But there you go. Meanwhile, because that's enough about that. Meanwhile, if you are looking for ways to get slimmer, in light of choking on kids' yogurts, a slimmer way to get fit, because we're coming out of winter here in Australia, and people want to get into shape for summer. Apparently, I mean, I don't, but hey, that's definitely just my opinion on things. There's a new diet, a new fad diet, because new fad diets are not a thing. This one is called the 1,000 Calorie Project. How can you get lean in less than a month? Okay. Just as Dorothy went on lions, tigers, and bears' journey, I'm going to take you on one of weight loss, so your stomach can avoid harsh surgical procedures that are now being used in Australia. Grab my arm and follow me by dropping the 1,000 calories per day out of your diet. You can grab my arm if you like. I mean, it is optional. Plus, this is mainly an audio podcast, so grabbing my arm through whatever your device you're hearing this on may or may not be a little difficult. Destination 1. So we're on a journey. Destination 1. I don't have any road trip music. Sorry, I didn't cue any up. Exhibit portion control. Imagine this: you're overeating. Consume solid food at about 2,000 calories a day. Cutting your portions by 25% is the easiest thing you can do. Reading your diet of 500 calories per day. Consume less. It's a no-brainer strategy. Destination 2 on our little road trip. Anyway, eat fresh, healthy, tasty food. You can still have your beef and eat it too. A Big Mac contains 563 calories, whereas a grilled sirloin steak only contains 324. Swipe. That says swipe. That should say swap. Swap crisps for veggies. That should say swap, not swipe your crisps for veggies. How does one swipe your crisps? That sounds like a phrase you say when you're angry at someone. I'm gonna swipe your crisps. Donut for fruit, and you will add fiber to your diet while substituting 100 calories a day. Destination 3: exercise. You think that Australia, often topping Olympic gold medal tallies per capita count, filled with bronze surfers and sports mad followers. You wish. We rank 19th in a Stanford University study on global laziness. Oh, Jesus. Destination 4. Bin the fizzy drinks. 600 mils of Coke has 558 calories. Water has 0. Chris Corner says you have to die to lose calories. That is exactly how that works. That's the easy way of losing. Skip straight to the finish, straight to the punchline. Number 5, destination 5. Cut the BS out of your diet. Donuts, energy drinks, an inventory of biscuits. Cut it all. Start acting like it. Something about. Before you proceed with fatty, you're a grown up and your body needs less BS. I disagree. It's destination 6. Drinks less booze. Make it one drink. Give yourself 250 calories per day. Sleep. There you go. Because apparently you burn calories while sleeping. It's really bizarre. But anyway. And decision 8, take accountability. It's your body. You do you, girl. Apparently is what this is saying. The above elements represent north of 1,500 calories, 6,300 kilojoules, change in health. Though calorie counting isn't the end all be all, it's a damn fine journey to weight loss. There you go. That's how you lose weight and you get to look after the merch. Anyway, I'm not the most slenderest person in the world. I'm put that out there. I mean, I used to be Slim Dale Funtime, but now I'm slightly less Slim Dale Funtime. Which notice how three things in that sentence stayed the same. I've discovered how good ice cream is, and I don't think I can cut ice cream from my diet. So that's you might have a tough sell on your hands there about that one. But as we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, we have a feel-good business story for you. A feel-good business story. Yeah, they make those things apparently. And this is a family story too, so, combining two things that the Generic Live Show loves so much. Family and business. There you go. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show, thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us. It's Dale Campbell here with you. It's 9:21.
Hey you! Yes, you, fine listener of this program. You can help us become more than what we already are. I know, it's a revolution. Hold on to your butts, because I'm about to give you a URL address that could change our lives. Not really, but it would help us out tremendously if you went over to geek-io.net/support, so we could do a lot more than what we're actually doing now. That website actually has a lot of links on it where you can help us out monthly through Patreon at our Patreon site at patreon.com/geekio, or you can help us out once off by supporting those who support us. But then you can become the ones who support us, who support you, who support us. It's supportception. To continue this supportception, it's in your hands. Go to geek-io.net/support to keep this ever-long cycle of support up. Thank you.
Hold on tight. This is the Generic Live Show.
Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us, whether you're listening to us live or on your hard drive over at twitch.tv/Generic Live Show or /Geek.io Show. That one works. You can see me. Hi. How you doing? It's Sunday. Thanks for joining us. We're back on a Sunday. This time next week, we are due to have a very special guest on the show. Maddie Benedetti will be joining us. And she'll be back on the show. It'll be her second time on the show. Yes. Second time on the show. You lose track of things when it's just you doing this thing. You lose track of things, particularly over nearly 100 episodes, by the way. Just want to peel back the curtain a little bit. We've been nearly doing this for 100 episodes. So we might have to... Should we plan... Okay. This is not what I wanted to talk about in this segment, but we'll get to that story in a second. Should we plan a big celebratory 100 episodes thing? Because I had an idea in the pre-show about something that I could do for 100 episodes, but I don't know because numbers for this show are a little weird, but we do what we do. But after 100 though, there might be a few changes to the show, not formatically, but just how we do things here at GLS. But I don't know whether I should do something for episode 100 or not. Yeah, we might do. Show's been on a magical adventure, so we might do something for 100. You never know. You never know. But what I do know, and these two brothers, I might be able to ask these two brothers, Patrick and John Collison. I might be able to ask them. Does anyone know them? Does anyone know them? Maybe from Stripe, by chance. And these two brothers turned 7 lines of code into a $9.2 billion startup. If only. Like, come on. Like, what the? Yeah. Come on. That's not a thing that people do. But anyway. Everyday Americans spend about $1.2 billion online. That figure roughly doubled in the past 5 years, according to the Department of Commerce, and is likely to double again in the next 5 years as the internet continues to devour traditional retail. So it might come as a surprise that the web's financial infrastructure is old and slow. Not surprisingly at all, because it was invented when the internet was slow and that other word I just read, which I can't remember. Traditional? No. Old. It's not old, it's traditional, alright? I'm not old, I'm traditional. For years, the explosive growth of e-commerce has outspaced the underlying technology. Companies wanting to set up shop have had to go to a bank, a payment processor, and quote-unquote gateways that handle connections between the two. This takes weeks, lots of people, fee after fee. Much of the software that processes the transactions is decades old, and the more modern bits are written by banks, credit card companies, and financial middlemen, none of whom are winning hackathons for elegant coding. In 2010, Patrick and John Collison, brothers from rural Ireland, began to debug this process. Their company Stripe Inc. built software that businesses could plug into websites and apps instantly connect with their credit card and banking systems to receive payments. I remember Stripe back in 2010. We weren't doing the show yet, but man, 2010 could do that could work. Build software that businesses could plug into and receive payments. The product was a hit with Silicon startups, businesses such as Lyft, Facebook, DoorDash, and thousands that inspired them to turn Stripe into financial backbone of their operations. And why not? Like, seriously, why wouldn't you at this point? Because that's how you do. If you see something and you like it, you use it. That's pretty much the definition of everything, you know. That's how you know. I don't want to keep bringing up me in the show, but that's going to happen today because it's one of those days. But that's how I ended up on Twitch. I saw Twitch, I liked Twitch, and I'm going to use Twitch. I'm not a nearly $10 billion startup, but hey, it's worth a shot. The company now handles tens of billions of dollars in the internet transaction annually, making money by charging a small fee on each one. Because how else would you make your money? I suppose through selling a license, probably? I don't know. It made then Patrick 28 and John 26 the world's youngest billionaires. But payments is a brutal battleground. Say that 10 times fast. Countless startups, big banks, and companies such as Google Inc. and Apple Inc. are trying to grab what pennies they can with their own systems. This competition, combined with the industry's minuscule profit margins, has left pundits asking whether Stripe's lofty appraisal makes sense. We are a ways of making us satisfied that valuation vaccination, says Brandon Miller, an analyst for Forrester Research Inc. They are valued at a lot higher than of players who have been around for years with thousands of employees, tremendously more volume and clients all over the world. But it's potential though. You have to take potential into it as well, wouldn't you think? Because it definitely is potential. It's not necessarily them. One way to justify the number is start a new partnership with Amazon.com at geek-io.net/Amazon, the world's largest sought-after customer on the internet. So they've acquired with this long gloating review of them. It's kind of they did a Business Week article, and it's kind of their sort of this is my life kind of story about the two brothers. But it's basically they've partnered with Amazon, and they're trying to now seek to make this company a big deal with 80 employees, with now 750 employees, including the two brothers. Their next step is making Stripe public. But can they make Stripe public if they have an exclusive deal to Amazon? That's the question here. That is definitely the question, and I don't know if they can, but it's worth a shot. You know, it is worth a shot. Anyway, as we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, it's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geek.io. Now, childbirth is a weird and wonderful procedure, but the laws surrounding childbirth have now come into question. We'll tell you more as we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us. It's 9:32.
This Geek.io podcast network is proudly sponsored by Think Geek. Think Geek is the biggest online retailer of all things geeky. That's right, everything geeky. And they stock the biggest brands in geekiness like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Minecraft, Legend of Zelda, Marvel, Game of Thrones, DC Comic, and Geek Labs. And they sell a whole bunch of things like collectibles, electronics and gadgets, t-shirts and apparel, gifts. They sell it all over at Think Geek. And they have free shipping on orders over $75 or a flat $6.95 US standard shipping to all places in the US. So when you're ready to check out the range over at Think Geek, the online geek superstore, just use our link to go over to Think Geek over at geek-io.net/thinkgeek. That gives us a little bit of a kickback on what you buy. Don't worry, we're not stealing your shoe size or asking you for a blood sample. It's okay. We're only getting a kickback from what you buy. We don't actually see what you buy from Think Geek. Join in, geek out, Think Geek. We thank Think Geek for their support of the Geek.io podcast network.
Whether we're waking you up or putting you to sleep, this is the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us here on a Sunday. Well. It's a scary and busy time here on the Generic Live Show, but, you know, we're here again. We're doing it. doing a show. Gosh darn it. By the way, if you are coming to Atlanta, Georgia for Dragon Con, the Geek.io show is live there. We are in the Galleria 6 at the Hilton. We're on the Friday of Dragon Con at 8:30 p.m. It's gonna be a fun time. I believe you can check it out. I should have had all the details in front of me, but I believe you can check that out at the Dragon Con the Facebook Dragon Con podcasting track, and you believe there's going to be a live stream of that there, but that's not confirmed. But if you are coming to Atlanta, Georgia at Dragon Con, you can see us there in the flesh, and I'll be there, so it'll be fun. But things are a little hectic trying to prepare for that, and everything going on. So it's a little bit of a hectic show, stress wise. But you know, you do what you do. And special guest Maddie Benedetti will be joining us next week on the show as well. So it'll be interesting. That is an interesting show as well. Now, childbirth. Raise your hands if you know a thing or two about childbirth. Notice, audio listeners, no one on this program right now is raising their hand. Just want to put that out there. No one's raising their hand. No person is raising their hand. Do you know anything about childbirth? I don't, but you know, it is an interesting. All joking aside, it is an interesting subject area, definitely, but it's not something I'm too familiar with. But there's a new policy that is apparently traumatizing women with excess forceps use. So, to tear through this article a little bit, because this article is interesting in a way, because you would think that childbirth, again, is a magical process, and it is something that is probably very, very sacred in life, but you wouldn't think about, in the moment of childbirth, you wouldn't really think about all of the policies and laws that would surround childbirth. You wouldn't think about that in the moment. So, the birth of baby Leo on Boxing Day last year should have been the happiest day of April Hagen's life, but she was left physiologically and physically traumatized. 2 weeks overdue with a large baby on board, the first time mum wishes she was offered a cesarean, or a C-section as is often referred to, when things were not looking good. But Miss Hagen believes the push for a quote-unquote normal birth, sorry, I entered the end quotes too soon, took precedence over her, and her son had to be delivered by forceps as a result. Oh jeez. Not only was she torn right through with a third-degree tear in her area as she began... Jesus. Way to self-censor the show, Dale. Good on you. But she began homogenizing... Hallucinate. That would be hallucinating, Dale. That word right there. That's not homogenizing. And was rushed to the theatre for emergency surgery. Miss Hagen of Newcastle, who was left permanently damaged with tears and all sorts of things down there. Quote, I have to wear a pessary to stop my organs from falling out. I don't know what that is. 100%. I should have had a cesarean. I was largely overdue. My baby was over 4 kilos. Yikes! That's a baby. Far out. And I know the damage that is caused by ripping my son out of me. Unquote, Miss Horgan 28 said. Last week, by the way, pause. Stop that. Cancel that. Pause. Pause on everything. So what is it? That's saying that the hospital forced Miss Hagen, a pregnant lady who at this point doesn't really have control over any decision isn't in the right state of mind to make that decision. So the doctor doesn't make that decision for her, if that makes sense. I don't know. Was no one not there in the birthing room with her? That's one thing as well. We could do this. Hang on. I should have had this queued up. This sounds a bit like this. Miss Hagen gave birth. But was no one else in the birthing suite to tell the doctor that she was in too much pain and would cause ripping in her lady parts? Which, by the way, I need a clean clip of me saying ripping in her lady parts. But because that's my new text tone. But back to this. Back to serious time. Will you tear down? Was she able to get a cesarean or not? Plus, yeah. Okay, one thing that really harpens back to this, though, is the fact that yeah, no doctor said to her at any point, asked her if she wanted to get a cesarean as opposed to trying to get the baby out, or was it too far? Was it too far gone at that point as well? Oh, stop! I didn't want to stop playing that. I'm gonna eject that out of there before it starts playing again. That's another thing too that you have to consider is, was a cesarean actually possible, or was it too far down the path that you kind of have to go, alright, buckle in, kids. Things are gonna get rough. Quite literally. But it sounds to me that she wasn't given the choice. That's what it sounds like to me. Last week in the UK, the Royal College of Midwives officially announced their so-called quote-unquote campaign for normal birth, admitting the use of the word quote-unquote normal and the pressure from midwives to resist medical interventions such as cesarean sections or C-sections had made some women feel like failures and was contributing to the postnatal depression. Okay, first and foremost, I can understand a lot of that, but ladies, if you get a cesarean, you're not a failure. Just putting that out there, first of all, because you've carried around this beautiful life for 9 days. 9 days. Far out. Seriously? 9 months? 9 days? Stop. Okay, time out. 9 days, Dale? Really? You said 9 days? You could have said 9 weeks and it would have been better. 9 months. 9 years. Carried around a baby for 9 years. 9 weeks. 9 days. 9 days for childbirth. Is that how that works? How are babies born? 9 days for childbirth. There you go. Can we name the show 9 Days for Childbirth? But yeah, you're not a failure if that is an option you want to do. That's also normal. again, yes, I kind of agree that normal is a little bit facetious on that part. Because there's no normal way of doing something like childbirth, because every woman is different in their own unique way on how they feel most comfortable about delivering the baby. So there you go. The UK moves followed the preventive deaths of 11 babies, one mother who died in one maternity unit. Far out. The Independent report the influence of a small number of individuals who were overzealous in a pursuit of post-childbirth that led to, quote, an inappropriate and unsafe practice, unquote. Dr. Hannah Dallum, a professor of midwifery in the University of Western Sydney and executive member of the Australian College of Midwives, described the reporting of the Royal College of Midwives move as fake news. Jeez. Okay. Alright, sure. In a tweet saying, for all UK midwives feeling harmed by this week's fake news, remember thinking is different, which is why most people judge. Okay. Also, are we getting too out of hand here of calling everything we don't agree with fake news? That's not a thing, right? Can I now? This is the world we're living in 2017. Is that everything is fake news that we don't agree with. I mean, I understand that some news is legitimately not factual. I get that, and that is fake news, but something that we don't agree with is not fake news. But anyway. In Australia, Ms. Hagan and some experts are beginning to question towards normal birth policy instituted by New South Wales Health in 2010 to reduce the state's caesarean rate. Some midwives have agreed it is more expensive and is longer recovery times than birth the normal way. Because I can't say that word on the show. 1 in 3 women in New South Wales have a caesarean. That's 33% of women have caesareans. Sure. The policy is aimed at promoting normal birth, comes up with targets to increase birth done the traditional way to 80%, while experts say that it is combined to an epidemic in forceps deliveries. Now, by the way, I don't like that word in general, so I'm not going to call it that if I don't like saying that word, even if it wasn't a bad word I didn't like to use. Next month, former Sydney mum Amy Dawes, who now lives in Brisbane, is launching the Australia's Birth Trauma Association. Oh, jeepers. Sure. That's... Sure, trauma. Trauma and childbirth shouldn't be used in the same sentence. But anyway. To provide an online support forum for mums who have been injured from birth done the normal way, birth done the traditional way, which I understand the cause, but dude, change your name. I called Amy Dawes a dude. Miss Dowles, 33, had a delivery at the Royal North Shore 3 years ago. Her pelvic floor muscle was torn off the bone. Ow! Ow! Ow, that hurts. That really hurts. Mainly because, I've been to an incontinence convention. Long story. But I've been to an incontinence convention where they were basically had diagrams and demonstrations of how the pelvic floor works, which, that's insightful. Just lovely. But they had demonstrations of that, and having that torn off the bone, dude, ouch. So, but a push for traditional births is the aim of the game here, which again, that's fine. I'm all in favor of that. But some women might not want their special lady parts interacted with, if that makes sense. That is an option. That is definitely a possibility and is on the table. Mainly because if they want another baby, then they'll need everything intact to have that baby, if that makes sense. So they would want that baby. They want all their muscles in place to then repeat the process again. But then, in saying that, they might want to do it the normal way because that's how God intended it? I'm confused. My stance is, as long as you have the options there, and the more options you have for childbirth, the better. Coming from the coming from a dude, and B, coming from a gay dude of all things too. I shouldn't say it that way, but coming as a person who will probably not experience birth in a traditional way, I'm not one to comment on birth, but it is interesting to think about policies surrounding childbirth and how that would work. But again, as a dude of the gay variety, as someone at work put it today, I would not have to deal with that at any point, but it is interesting to keep in the back of the mind just in case, hey, someone might bring that to me and I'll have the answer. So there you go. Hey, it's a support group thing too, so there you go. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, well, our favourite segment of Review of a Review is back. What movie will we be doing next? Well, you'll find out when we come back on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us. It's 9:53.
This Geek.io Podcast Network program is sponsored by Audible. They're the leaders in digital audiobooks on the internet. Choose from over 100,000 titles across all types of literature, including fiction, non-fiction, and periodicals. Try Audible.com now and get your first 30 days of Audible Listener Gold membership plan for free. That's right, free, which includes 1 audiobook credit per month. After your 30-day trial, your membership will renew for just $14.95 per month, so you can continue to receive your audiobook credit per month, plus members-only discounts on all audio purchases. If audiobooks aren't quite your thing, well, that's okay. Audible also have a variety of radio and TV programs and audio versions of magazines and newspapers. There's something for everyone. Check out geek-io.net/audible for all of the details. And we thank Audible for their support of the Geek.io Podcast Network.
You finally found the most generic live show. This is the Generic Live Show.
Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure, as per always, to be here, whether you're listening to us live or on your hard drive. We appreciate you listening. Thanks for joining us. It's Dale Campbell here with you. And even if times are stressing, Last segment, I accidentally said there was 9 days until childbirth, but it turns out 9 days is in my head because that's when I get on the plane. Actually, it's 8 days, but that's where the word days is coming in because people are asking me, how many days until you leave? 8 days is when I leave. I actually finish working next week before I leave on holidays. That's crazy. That's crazy. Crazy. So, programming note, before we review one review of a review. We'll do one. We might do one next hour or two if we get time. But, programming note. Next week's show, so the 27th of August, we'll be doing the last show before I leave. That'll be with Maddie Benedetti, friend of the program. She's amazing. She'll be returning back to the show. She'll be here. It'll be great. It'll be amazing. Then I'm off for 2 weeks. So the show of the 3rd and the show of the 10th, we will be gone. Show of the 17th of September, I'm not sure yet. That might be a to be confirmed. If not a regular show, it'll be a vacation recap show. It's looking like a vacation recap show, with other things interspersed as well in there. There won't be a regular show on the 17th. Probably a vacation recap seems to be possible. And on the 24th of September, tentatively dates, if just in case the 17th show doesn't happen, might have other plans. But the 24th will be Generic Live Show's 100th episode, which is, again, I talked about this earlier. I don't know whether I'll plan something. I'll stop bringing it up. But it's time for, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for everyone's favourite segment of Dale not having the show prepared as much as he should. It's time for review of a review. That's right. Come on now. By the way, this theme song apparently was the theme song from 1972 to 2007. That's a long time. That's a very long time, actually. And that is definitely a very, very long time. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be reviewing reviews for The Hitman's Bodyguard. I love how IMDb has reviews for a movie that isn't even out yet. So this will be interesting. Actually, it's probably more international than anything else. But hey, you never know. You never know. All right. So here is review of a review of The Hitman's Bodyguard. One review of a review. This movie... Oh, no, I have to... this first one, because we're running out of time. This first one. This movie is such strange bloom problems. What? Again. This movie has such strange bloom problems. I saw an early screening, so I thought... What? Okay. I saw an early screening, so I thought it might have been a weird fluke, but nope, it persistent in the trailer too. Besides just generally not being funny, it is hard to watch. Watch the trailer and see the glowing city to see what I mean. It is so hard to watch when all you can see is the blurry mess. This blurry mess. Okay. That review was very long-winded and didn't really say much of anything at all, really. Apart from the fact that the movie's blurry. So if you... is that how that works? If you take off... If things are blurry when you have your glasses on and you take them... If you put them on, they're not blurry. So if you have glasses in this movie and it's blurry, you take the glasses off if it's not blurry. I don't know if that's how vision works, but it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. Anyway, I love review of a review. We don't get to do it as often as we should in big segments. We should do that. We should do more review of a review. It's always a fun time. It's always a fun well. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, well, we have breaking news for you. You could choke on kids' yogurt lids. Huh? You might be saying? We'll tell you more as we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you, 10:01.
Hey you! Yes, you, fine listener of this program. You can